Now loading. What is up there, ladies and gents? Thanks for checking out Shinsen 88 Gaming. And today, we're going to be checking out a new game. Not really a new game, but a new game for the channel. This is Dimension Tripper Neptune, Top NEP. That's right, they went full meme with it, and I guess I'm all here for it. So what is this game? It is a relatively short, relatively not complicated Space Harrier clone based on the Neptunia franchise. You know we're going to be playing through on hard, and we're going to be doing a no-hit run, which is actually not that difficult, but for the purposes of this, we'll pretend it's difficult. It did take me quite a few tries, or a decent number of tries, I guess. So, as we hop right into the game, you can see it's got a nice pixel art sort of art style, and it looks very similar to Space Harrier, which of course is intentional. You might have gone into this thinking it was going to be more like Afterburner, but nope. Pretty much Space Harrier with Neptunia characters. So this game was released in 2022. It was published by Idea Factory and Compile Heart, but developed by WSS Playground and Tiny Cactus Studio. I had not really heard too much about either of those, so I went and did a little bit of research before doing the video, as I normally do. So WSS actually stands for Why So Serious, which is a pretty decent title for a company. And the game of theirs that you would probably be most familiar with would be Needy Streamer Overload, which I have not played. However, I know it is one of those viral games that got very popular. Maybe I'll check it out at some point. Now, in terms of Tiny Cactus Studio, I'd heard even less about them. It seems to be just one person, actually. There's an itch.io page and a Twitter account. Actually, seems like a pixel artist who also does some game design. So, that's neat. As we have now gone about 2 minutes into the video, you've seen almost all that this game has to offer. If this doesn't look interesting to you yet, then probably look somewhere else. However, I think that this game is, well, it's pretty fun, and the price is right at $5 American. So there's really not too much to complain about. It's not super difficult, it's not super long, it's not super complicated, but it's fun, and I think that's what matters. So we have our basic shot that we would have if we were playing Space Harrier. However, there's also a melee attack that you've probably seen me using a few times here. That is useful not only for killing the enemies that get up close, but also for eliminating certain projectiles as they fire at you. So it can be kind of a last-ditch effort to not get hit, which I will take full advantage of. The other thing you'll notice is that we have a little gauge down in the bottom right. As we collect coins, that gauge is going to fill, and when it fills all the way, we will get an ally that will basically just add some additional firepower. All of the allies, as you might imagine, are characters from the Neptunia franchise. I guess it kind of is self-evident, however, I really do like the art style. I think it's bright and colorful. It looks, you know, it looks retro-ish with the scaling, but it definitely looks like a newer game in terms of just, you know, the fidelity of it, I guess. I say fidelity when it's literally just pixels, but you know what I mean. It looks nice, looks great in motion, and really there's not much to complain about it. Now, I'm trying to remember, and I think the majority, if not all, of the enemies are just sort of normal enemies and fodder enemies from the Neptunia games. So that's a nice touch that they are sort of connecting it back to the main series games. Speaking of Neptunia, I have played a couple of the games. I think I played 1 and 2 of the Rebirth titles, so those were originally PSP or Vita titles, I think, that got ported to PC. I mean, they're fine. They're not gonna set the world on fire or anything. I do own the 3rd Rebirth game, I just haven't really played it yet. The games are undeniably relatively samey, but I think really most of the reason that you would play them is for the characters. Even though the dialogue is not generally the best either. But hey, It's, I guess, an example of a series being carried by its aesthetics and characters. So probably the highlight of the game, other than just seeing what's going to come next, would be the bosses, just because they're large and they look cool. None of them are really all that difficult. Again, I mean, the game itself is really not super complicated or difficult. But, I mean, it's something, right? You'll notice that for the most part I'm just kind of sitting in the middle of the screen, but I do have to move every once in a while. Woohoo. One thing that I do really like is the transition between stages. It really does remind me of the old Space Harrier games, which actually I was never any good at. I wanted to do those for the channel at some point, but I suck at them, so more practice is required. This is probably the most nightmarish level in terms of not getting hit. At least if you're trying to also, like, play the game, right? You could just kind of hang out in a corner, but that's no fun. One thing that, we're kind of jumping around here in terms of topics, but one thing that makes this a little bit more playable than Space Harrier is that the scaling is a lot smoother, because I'm assuming, I'm not really sure, but I'm guessing that this game is actually functioning in sort of a 3D plane, but mimicking the superscaler feel rather than actually superscaling like, you know, something like Space Harrier or Afterburner. But I could be wrong about that. Either way, it looks convincing. And I could be totally wrong about that. It might actually be working as a superscaler, which would be kind of cool, I must admit. So if we're talking about Neptunia, I have played 2 of the games. Who's my favorite character? Probably just a pretty basic answer, but I think Purple Heart's the coolest character. I don't think Adult Neptune shows up in games 1 or 2, and I believe that's who we're supposed to be playing as here. But, anyways. Oh yeah, one thing that I've seen screenshots of, but I don't know if my game is glitched or what. Supposedly when you get 100% achievements, Neptune is actually supposed to get a Top Nep hat on the title screen. However, even with 100% achievements, I could not get that to happen. In fact, one of my achievements appeared to be glitched until I finally got it to work, so I don't know. I think I actually saw a couple other people report this as I was researching it. So who knows what the fix is, or if there is one. There might just not be one. I definitely remember seeing this guy as a boss in one of the other games. Oh, this is a great pattern for me. I'll just sit here in the middle of the screen again. I will say, though, this guy ended several no-hit runs with his target tongue attack. Not that one. That one's just fun. Gotcha. I guess I didn't mention how the game controls. It's pretty simple, like most of the other aspects of the game. You can move, you can fire, and you can slash. I'm playing this particular one with a controller. I guess you could play it with mouse and keyboard, or just keyboard, I guess. But I think that having the analog stick is going to help you out quite a bit, so that would probably be worth it. And at that point, it's just A on the 360 pad. A to fire, B to slash. This is actually a game that is not that hard to get 100% achievements in. I went ahead and did it just for the heck of it. I think the hardest achievement is probably the don't get hit one, but there's also, you know, basic stuff like clear the game with a certain number of points, and I don't remember if there were any other super interesting or unique ones. Oh, one was to make it all the way through the allies, which you're not necessarily guaranteed to do. And that was the achievement that was bugged for me. I had to really mess with it to get it to finally, I was gonna say proc, but I don't think that's the right word. Now, what's funny is that actually, when I realized that you could use the slash to eliminate bullets on the screen, this game became a lot easier because I didn't realize that at first. The game probably tells you that at some point, but I don't need to pay attention to that, right? I'm just looking at the other achievements right now, just out of curiosity. 1 for clearing each stage, achieving certain numbers of points, obtaining 2 teammates at the same time, and then obtaining a certain number of coins and killing a certain number of enemies. Or defeating, sorry, let's keep it PG. Those came pretty quickly though, so I don't think it's going to be a real slog if you're interested in doing that. So like this guy right here, before I knew that I could just slash away the discs, he ended several no-hit runs as well. Almost got nailed right there. Not today though. And with that, we actually enter the final level. I am struggling to remember if this boss was from one of the other games. I really don't know. Like I said, I'm not a hardcore Neptunia fan, although I have played a few of the games. And as a gift one time, somebody did get me a mug with top NEP on it, so I still have that. Guess that makes me a fan, right? Now, although the game doesn't have really all that much depth, there is a little bit of thought that can go into when you collect the coins, because if you actually avoid getting certain coins, you can get your partner to activate at maybe a more optimal point. Now, I am not playing the game at any sort of optimal level, however, I'm guessing for a speedrunner, perhaps, even though it's an auto-scroller, you know, you can still speedrun to an extent by killing the bosses faster. But maybe somebody has worked out exactly where you want to get all of them, or maybe it's best to just grab them all. Who knows? Somebody, but not me. Now, in fact, as I'm thinking about it, isn't Arfois? I don't know, I don't speak French. Is that even supposed to be French? Who knows? Isn't she, like, one of the main antagonists of the series? And again, my lack of expertise with the series is showing, but I'm pretty sure she's in multiple games. Maybe not the main antagonist, but one of them for sure. Anyways, we're about halfway done here. I did mention that this game goes for only $5 American, so if you're not in the US, it might be priced a little bit differently. However, I do feel that that price is right. You know, as you can see, we're going to complete the game in about 15 minutes. However, there's enough to keep you coming back if you want to try and get all the achievements. For me personally, having hunted for all the achievements and then done several runs to try and get a perfect run for recording, I played it for about 6 hours. And I think that at $5, 6 hours is a pretty good value. So, yeah, worth checking out. I'm actually going to click, you know, I didn't even think about this. WSS Playground apparently is associated with a lot of the other Neptunia games. Azure Lane, never played that one. Not a gacha guy, really. So yeah, they've been responsible for a few. Oh, and we did it. Better luck next time. All right, everybody. So that was a quick little romp through this pretty charming little game. Dimension Tripper Neptune Top NEP. If you are planning on buying it, It's only $5, so you have enough money left over, hopefully, to buy yourself a top NEP hat. I hope you enjoyed this one. Not too much to it, but great for what it is, I think. And I didn't even get the high score. I think it's because I went for the coin instead of the kill on one of those. Well, that is a shame. Anyways, everybody, I want to thank you, as always, very much for watching. We will see you in the next video. And until next time, take care. God bless.